Hey everyone, it's Lulasai. I just finished watching Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, a 2005 movie written and directed by George Lucas, of course. And it is a very warm day today, so please excuse my appearance if I'm sweating quite a lot. But yeah, I also need to shave as well, so I'll do all that tomorrow. But yeah, this is actually one of my favorite Star Wars movies in the entire series, which is probably not that uncommon of an opinion anymore. But of course, the prequel trilogy historically had a negative perception surrounding it. But I think most fans nowadays understand how awesome this movie is and truly appreciate it. And to me, this is basically offering the best that the prequels had to offer, but because the movie is inherently more enjoyable and less boring, I guess, as well, because there's no like slow in-universe politics discussions and stuff like that. So because it's overall better, it means that all of the weaker elements from the past are kind of being elevated here, like stuff like the corny dialogue and whatever. It's much easier to appreciate it here, and that's why there's such like a following, like the memes of this movie. So, oh yeah, but honestly, interestingly, I would say some of the most famous lines in this movie were actually just reused. So, like for example, Obi-Wan going, "Hello there." That is actually taken from Alec Guinness, who says "Hello there" in A New Hope. And "This is where the fun begins." I actually forget who said that one first. So that's pretty much proof of why this is the movie that made those lines famous, even though they were not the first ones to do it, because I honestly forget who said "This is where the fun begins." It might have been Han Solo, but I forget. I honestly don't even remember right now. But anyways, yeah, I really like this one, and it is it's just constantly enjoyable, infinitely rewatchable. But I will be giving it a somewhat harsh score just because I want to be objective here. But subjectively, I might actually prefer this one to Return of the Jedi on some days. I think objectively, it's a little bit of a step down for Return of the Jedi. But just on a personal level, if I wasn't doing a review right now, I would rather watch Revenge of the Sith 10 times than watch Return of the Jedi 10 times. But yeah, again, I do think Return of the Jedi is probably better if you were just to watch both of these at one single time. Okay, so the plot, non-spoiler version, I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot. This is like where the most significant events in all of Star Wars happen, and it's a fast-paced movie. So there's a lot, it's happening a mile a minute, and that's the way it should be. And that's why this movie is more than tolerable, because it's not like The Phantom Menace where you're spending like 30, 45 minutes on a planet that we've already been to before trying to repair a ship. Like this is not the case with this movie. This is constant forward momentum with significant events, and the most important in-universe events historically are happening in front of your eyes here, and it's all depicted super well. This movie's incredibly good looking for 2005. Like honestly, like mind-blowingly good looking for 2005. Okay, so the plot, I could describe this in so many different ways. Let me just pick a way though, because I don't want to talk about everything. I don't want to spoil everything. So really, it's we follow Anakin and Obi-Wan, who are both much more experienced now, although Obi-Wan was already very experienced, but Anakin in particular has really caught up. So the both of them are working to hunt down General Grievous so that they can first they have to deal with Count Dooku, and then move on to General Grievous in hopes of stopping or ending the Clone Wars. And there's a fantastic TV series, Star Wars The Clone Wars animated. Highly recommend watching that if you haven't. It adds so much more to these movies as well, the prequels. But yeah, so they're trying to end the Clone Wars, and meanwhile we also have, because I don't want to spoil things, so the Dark Lord of the Sith that has been, or Darth Sidious rather, we already know his name. Darth Sidious finally reveals himself. He has been operating in the shadows up to this point, and his objective is to destroy the Jedi. And you get this epic sequence with Order 66. It's just awesome, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Other important things are that, so Padme and Anakin really have to, so they have like a full-on relationship at this point, which they're not supposed to have, so they're having to deal with that Again, not spoiling things. I just like to not spoil things when I don't have to. There's just so much. I don't even know how to address how much there is going on in this. Like, okay, so Anakin's relationship or friendship with Palpatine ends up paying off, and he gets a seat on the Jedi Council. So that's another major development. But Anakin's trust in them is kind of wavering. And yeah, I mean, I guess I've already kind of... This has been a horrible plot synopsis, I'm not going to lie, but we're not going to restart the video or anything. We're just going to go with it. The easiest way to describe this movie that's spoiling it is that you're watching the formation of the Empire. So we're watching the transition of the Republic into the Galactic Empire. That's really the easiest way to describe it. So, the positives. Actually, yeah, okay, we'll do the positives first, because I don't think I'll remember the negatives, they're pretty distinct. So the positives, I think this is some of the best music in the series. I think it's some of the best visuals in the series. It's the best world building in the series. And really, this movie just takes what the prequels are known for and do the best and just leans into it even further. So that means more planets are visited, more factions, more designs for, you know, equipment and armies and stuff like that. Like, it's no surprise why, even though the prequel trilogy historically has a negative perception, it's no surprise to me why this is the only era Star Wars fans care about anymore. It really is. I know that's kind of a sad thing to say, but it's true. So it's not surprising at all why this is the era that's most talked about, and it's most played in video games, and it's what people care about. Like, it's because it's so cool. It's so cool, it's so interesting. As much as I like the original trilogy, I'm not going to pretend like the Rebels are a cool faction. Like, they're just dudes, right? But, yeah, the clones are just so interesting. There's so many different, like, chapters of them, and, yeah, the TV series adds so much to them. So it's, yeah, really no surprise why this is considered the best and most interesting era of Star Wars, despite it technically being arguably the most hated on trilogy. I guess kind of debatable, because a sequel trilogy starts out kind of strong and then just ends kind of a little, nah. I mean, we'll get there when we get there. I don't even know how I feel about it, because I've watched the originals and prequels way more times than sequels, so it's much easier for me to form my opinion right now, but we'll get to the sequels when we get there. They're questionable. But yeah, for me, I think the prequels are by far the most interesting, and they just have the most epic worlds, and you're visiting so many new planets, and yeah, it's just awesome. Some of the best lightsaber battles in here. Of course, you have the epic one on Mustafar. What a set piece, man. But I mean, this whole movie is just filled with set pieces. It might be CGI, but it's not like Phantom Menace CGI where they were testing the waters and it doesn't age quite as well. It's fine, but it doesn't age quite as well as it does today. Or the original trilogy special editions are also pretty bad. But this one has aged perfectly. Like, it honestly, nothing looks out of place to me at all. It's amazing how good this looks. So another great thing about this is that this is by far the best performances of these particular actors. So I'm talking about Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor, and Natalie Portman. So these three, this is their definitive best performances as these characters in this series. And I say that because Natalie Portman, she was kind of wooden in Phantom Menace. She has some ridiculous dialogue and scenes in Attack of the Clones. And here, she's just exactly what she needs to be. And I really have no faults with her here. Other than one scene, but really that's more... I mean, it's both their fault, but I'll get there when I get to the negative section. Hayden Christensen, in Attack of the Clones, he is quite whiny. And he has a weird-looking haircut. And yeah, he just kind of gets on my nerves sometimes. He's very horny as well. And there's the whole age gap thing with Padme, which is almost kind of hysterical or weird to think about. And in Revenge of the Sith, he is grown up. He is competent, mature, usually level-headed, unless it's concerning someone that he cares about. And his transition to the dark side, which, I don't know, I guess is a spoiler, but you already know it's going to happen. It's called Revenge. But, I mean, there's literally the Death Stars on the cover here, but... Anyways, that was kind of a spoiler, my bad. I can't always be perfect, but his transition to the dark side, I think, is handled really well. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but I would say it's handled really well, and it's a lot easier to digest and accept once you watch the Clone Wars TV series as well. Which, trust me, that doesn't really count. I'm not forcing you to watch a super long series just to make this movie better. I would never count that to the score, but I'm just throwing it out there. If you want to make this movie even better than it already is, go watch the series. Yeah, and then you have Edwin McGregor here, who is even more wooden than Natalie in Phantom Menace, and he's perfectly fine in Attack of Clones. So he had two very good performances. So yeah, I feel bad, kind of like, you know, ragging on them, but that's just how I feel. I felt like the performances, there were some issues up to this point, and this movie corrects them. And on the topic of course correction, this is the one movie of the prequel trilogy where there's no boring scenes, basically. Like, even slower scenes are great in this. Like, think of the Darth Plagueis, you know, anthology or story or whatever. Like, that is arguably one of the most slow scenes, if not the slowest scene, and it's one of my favorites. So, yeah, I mean, this one just corrects so much. Jar Jar doesn't utter a single word in this, which is proof that they are actively course correcting and trying to improve things, and instead of letting their hubris take over and just keep doing things the way they were doing it. So yeah, I just highly respect this movie. I really like it. I'm probably missing a lot more great elements. There's just so much to it. There's so much going on, and I just love every second of it, really. That being said, let's go on to the negatives now, because it's not perfect. As much as I love it, it's not perfect, and this is going to be why I think this movie is slightly a step down from Return of the Jedi. Which Return of the Jedi is not perfect. Return of the Jedi is basically a New Hope rehash with a boring forest planet that looks like real-life Earth. So it's not perfect. I mean, it's just another Death Star. It's another final space battle. But it has the Emperor. It has Luke at his peak power level with the green lightsaber. It has the ultimate final conclusion and everything. Like, there's still a lot to like about it, so... But here, anyways, the negatives. So, the major negatives, because you could probably nitpick it a lot more if you wanted to. Number one, the cringe scene in particular. I mean, it's so cringe that it's hard to ignore. It's just one scene, it's not that long, but it's hard to ignore. So, the scene in question is when it's nighttime and Anakin has his abs out, and Anakin and Padme basically are like trying to one-up each other as to who is more madly in love with the other person. And it's just so unnatural the way they talk to each other in this scene. It's so strange. I don't understand how, like, human beings watched this scene and thought that was, like, okay to put in the final cut. Like, it really is that bad. I think this might be the single worst, or most cringe, actually. I'm sure there's a worse scene. This is the most cringe, worst dialogue in all of Star Wars, this particular scene. Or maybe that title should go to the Attack of the Clones scene where... Padme and Anakin are about to get executed in the Geonosian arena, and Padme starts to profess her love to him. That scene's pretty awful as well, but it's close. I mean, they're so similar, I don't even know which one I hate more, because they're both really hard to sit through. The one thing in defense of this, though, is that at least it's only one scene. There's not a lot of that going on. In fact, it's really just one scene. That's it, and it's over. Whereas Attack of the Clones, there's like an entire section of the movie is dedicated to this non-human space opera dialogue, which is the romance scenes on Naboo. So at least it's only one scene here, but it's still real bad, and I'm surprised it made the final cut. Nobody stepped in line and said, guys, this isn't it. Like, really, I mean, I understand George Lucas is a legend, but, I mean, these actors are pretty esteemed at this point, too. So can't you just speak up and say something? Like, I don't understand how this makes... I don't know. Anyways, I could rant about that scene for hours. So that scene's real bad. Another major negative. So even though this one has some of the best lightsaber fights in the whole series, there's also some of the worst. So the Yoda versus Palpatine one, I'm not a huge fan of it. It's okay. I don't mind it. The music kind of keeps it up for me. That one's not the greatest, but it's whatever. But the real... like, problematic one is Mace Windu versus Palpatine. And I think I just spoiled things again. I give up. So, Mace Windu versus Darth Sidious, which is what I should have said, is that there's nothing good about this scene. It begins with 3 Master Jedi. These are not just random Jedi, apparently. These are Master Jedi. And they all get killed within seconds. There's a lore reason he used like a force scream or something like that, but that's outside movie knowledge. You're not going to know that when you watch it. So they just die very quick and unspectacularly. And the rest of the fight, so now that, because they did that because they want the choreography to be easier, but now that it's a one-on-one, they don't even properly do the choreography because it's slow. It's like, I don't know, it's like two knights using a broadsword. Sort of like reminds me of what the sequel trilogy ends up doing, which I actually kind of like that about the sequel trilogy. They slow down the lightsabers a little bit, which is just a nice different change of pace, I guess. But it's kind of weird watching in this movie. You're watching the slow pace in an otherwise super fast-paced choreography normally. Like, compare the Mace Windu versus Sidious to the, I don't want to spoil that other one, the Mustafar fight. It is embarrassing. It's real bad. So yeah, Mace Windu, unfortunately, he's a pretty underwhelming character in this series in general. He's better in the Clone Wars series, but yeah, in these prequel movies, he is very lackluster, which is unfortunate because I love watching Samuel L. Jackson. I'm a big fan of Pulp Fiction, but he's just not it. He's just not mentally present here. So yeah, and the last major negative for me is that it's funny that I'm considering one small scene a major negative, but it's that bad and that hard to sit through. So the last major negative for me is the simple fact that this has to go into A New Hope seamlessly. And that is a lot of baggage for this to carry. And what it means is that a lot of things have to happen no matter what, regardless of whether it makes sense or not. So I don't want to spoil things. I mean, I guess I've already spoiled things, so we will spoil these things now, okay? So now we are going full spoilers from here on out. You have been warned. You can click off now if you want. Okay. So, because certain events have to happen in a certain way, that means certain things are just completely unbelievable. So, particularly the fate, I mean, really it's the fate of every character, but particularly with Anakin and Padme. So, Anakin's fate doesn't make sense because he's basically burning alive with no limbs, or very little limbs left. Or does he have no limbs? I don't remember now. I think he might have 1 or 2 limbs left. And it doesn't make sense because Obi-Wan, if he was being a merciful guy, he would put him out of his misery. That's what would happen in real life. It would make more sense. It's like, yeah, I mean, I get it. The obvious excuse is going to be that he's emotionally compromised, but is letting your friend burn alive really that much better of an alternative? Like, just end it. He already thought he was going to die in the lava anyway, so you may as well just expedite this. I don't know. So, I mean, his transition into Vader is just... I like his descent into the dark side. I think I defend it more than the average fan. But his actual literal transformation into Vader is kind of questionable. Yeah. I mean, he shouldn't... One, he shouldn't survive that. Two... because of how much, I mean, you can't survive that. I believe the in-lore explanation is his hatred kept himself alive. No, that was Darth Maul's explanation, actually, wasn't it? Darth Maul kept himself alive through his pure hatred or something, but probably similar thing with Anakin here, but it just, yeah, it just doesn't feel logical to me. I feel like there could have been a different way to do it. That's just my opinion, though. I'm sure plenty of people will disagree with that. And the other one, this one's worse, is Padme's fate. So Padme's death, she literally dies of a broken heart. And again, this is the kind of writing that's forced before it even happens, and that's why it's happening like this. But, you know, maybe you could have had Anakin simply choke her out, which is a terrible thing to say in a different context, but maybe that would have made more sense. But here, she literally is medically fine and perfect, and then just passes away because she feels sad. And stuff like this is happening because this is just the way it has to be. And I think that's inherently a disadvantage and a hurdle that this movie is unable to overcome. So I'm going to give Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, an 8 out of 10. It is one of my personal favorites. I think it is extremely cool. I love so many aspects about it. I could rewatch this any time of the day, multiple times per day if I had to, and I would be happy. It is just that cool. And it even has 2 red lightsabers on the cover here, which I believe was the original planned poster for this, but they ended up, obviously their lightsabers are not red in the movie, but yeah. Just badass. Love the movie. I know I kind of went at nerd mode at the end there, but That's just for the sake of being critical, for making a more interesting video. I do love this movie. Absolutely adore it. I think the performances are great. I think Hayden has truly and fully embraced this character. He was born to be it because of this movie. If Attack of the Clones was somehow the end of that era of Star Wars, I would not be saying the same thing. Revenge of the Sith turns around Anakin's character so much for me. It is why Anakin is actually my favorite character in the entire series, is specifically because of this movie and because of Hayden. So I just want to defend him a little bit there. So thank you so much for watching this review. Very scrambled-brained, I apologize, but I think I was still able to get the point across. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.